Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Your Relationship With podcast. I'm your host, Melissa Snow. I am a business relationship strategist. I help female entrepreneurs just like you build the business that they want, the way that they want to, in a way that is faster, simpler, and probably cheaper than anything else that you've tried before. That is through genuine relationships, networking that doesn't suck, and creating authentic connections with other people. It's really about being human and not being a salesy weirdo. Happy almost February. By the time you hear this, it will be almost February. I don't know how time just seems to continue to fly, but it does, and here we are. Did you know that this podcast is also available on YouTube in video form? And if you've not checked it out, I highly recommend, because my cat, George, is a big, fluffy mess, and he makes an appearance in pretty much every episode, and this episode is no different. And I always just move him out of the way and try to keep talking like nothing happened, but he also spilled my drink during this episode. So good times all around, and this is an interview that I did with Coach Amy Latta. And we are talking about your relationship with play, which sounds very simple and like dumb and like, okay, you're going to tell me to have more fun in my business. Yay, I'll get right on that. But actually, this topic ends up being very complex and nuanced, and there's a lot of layers to it and a lot of different things that incorporating play into your business can mean, and a lot of different ways that you can do it and a lot of different reasons to do it. And one of the things I love so much about Amy is she is very realistic. She understands what the human response to you should play more is, right? It's like, I got bills to pay. I don't have time to play. So she's very realistic and practical about it, but also very passionate about the topic and the importance of incorporating play in your life and in your business. So let me introduce you to Amy. She is a master certified feminist business and marketing coach. She helps coaches sign their first clients and create an income that elevates their life and gives as much as it gets. Dreams of all sizes are welcome. A lifelong rule follower, Amy had to defy other people's expectations in order to create a life that lights her soul on fire, even if it pisses other people off. She helps other coaches do the same thing. Here is my interview with Amy Latta. Hello, Amy. Welcome to the podcast.
Hello, Melissa. It's great to be here. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Super excited to talk to you today about your relationship with play. But before we dive in, tell everybody a little bit about you and about your relationship with play.
Yeah. So, obviously, my name is Amy. I am actually this year turning 50. So I'm, Gen X, definitely raised in that generation of we can bring home the bacon and fry it up in the pan, and, we can be everything, we can do everything. And definitely, I have always been fascinated by business, and I've always been fascinated by why people do what they do. And I tried careers in the corporate world, and I tried I started my coaching business. It'll be, 11 years ago. And I tried a couple other small businesses in there, but everything that I was always doing was always spending all of my time trying to figure out how to be the productive version that was always modeled to me. And I remember when I first got started in the corporate world in the late 90s, of that work hard, play hard mentality was definitely really, really ingrained. And growing up, it was, go do your schoolwork, and then we're going to reward you with, an opportunity to have fun. So not only like so much of our society socialized to like, go do the hard work, and then you get to go do the fun thing. what I didn't know until I was diagnosed, at this point, it's about a year ago, I was diagnosed with ADHD, which I was like, yeah, I've developed ADHD. And the psychiatrist was like, no, you didn't. You've not developed it. It's just now very apparent. And we now understand that actually how girls have ADHD is very different than how boys have ADHD. So just kind of understanding that my entire life was trying to operate and function in a way where I was never wired to operate and function that way.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was never going to happen.
Mm-hmm. Oh man, I can relate to this so much. We could go down this rabbit hole for hours.
Yes. Yeah. But like the I want to be really clear. I don't coach on ADHD, but it's definitely something that I talk a lot about, more from just an understanding of because my passion and my fire is really about, we've all been socialized to like fit certain molds, but like that's not actually like cosmically or universally, we're just not designed to do that, but society says that we should. So it's just one way, just one avenue to talk about. But play was really I always knew that I was weird and goofy. I don't know how else to say it. Okay. I'm weird. I'm goofy. I'm silly. I love jokes. I love cracking jokes. I love, hilarity. But there was something about, some of that was kind of fostered, but mostly being a good girl who did what she was supposed to do was what was actually fostered in my household and in the how I was raised. And I don't just mean like by my mom and dad, but just as like a collective. And, my achievement was always going to be my crowning jewel. So I didn't know, it wasn't intentional, but I really squashed that playfulness in me from a pretty young age, that curiosity that we all naturally have. Play and curiosity, it's built into like how humans function. It's how we've created literally everything that is new and different in the world is through curiosity and play and invention, and that's what that is. And it's just so fascinating that we really squash that out of kids to varying ages, and not all kids by any means, but definitely by the time you're an adult, it's like, it's time to grow up. It's time to grow up. And the way that you're going to get what you want in this world is by, being productive, by being productive members of society. I'm just all those phrases that we've always heard. And play is important, sure, because we need downtime, but it's the downtime. It's the side job. It's the weekend warrior mentality. It's the, 2 vacations a year. I live in the, I don't know how far reaching your podcast is. I'm assuming it's pretty large audience, but here in the States, we don't get entire summers off, or, you get 2 weeks off.
If you're
so
lucky.
You have to reserve. Yeah. If you're lucky. And if you have a corporate job, I remember every corporate job I ever had, it was like 2 weeks. All right. So I had 2 weeks and 5 days of sick leave. And I had I was lucky enough to be able to even be in the corporate world. We're not even talking about all of the hundreds, the millions of Americans who don't even get that. So our society doesn't respect play, doesn't value play. It's seen as a side effect or a benefit of doing a good job. And I'd never really understood. Here's the funny thing. The first time I never resonated with work hard, play hard. I heard it in my, late teens, early 20s. It started in college. I'm a business major. It's definitely ingrained in there. I didn't understand why, but I just kind of, all I hear is the word hard. When you say work hard, play hard, all I hear is the word hard, and I'm not loving this, right? And that was that kind of innate playfulness and the ADHD I didn't know that I had. I didn't understand until literally in the past, year or so, why it never resonated with me. And so as I progressed through my coaching career, again, I started my coaching business in 2013, and I kept trying to, conform and fit the mold, which is ironic because I'm literally in a coaching industry, which is all about, be the real version of you, be authentic. But there's still a big promotion of like, yeah, be you, be authentic, but within the confines of, what you produce is what's rewarded.
Mm-hmm.
Which is really fun. There's a whole separate conversation about self-help and new agey and self-empowerment work, still modeling the structures of traditional corporate patriarchal structures.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a whole other side conversation we could have there. But I really started to understand that as I was moving up in circles of influence in the coaching industry, and I kept up leveling to like the next level of, that idea of, always, never be the smartest person in the room. So always put yourself in the rooms where everybody's ahead of you if you can, because you can learn so much. So, I was continuously, being up leveled. And the reigning advice in every room I was ever in is you want a CEO mentality. And a CEO mentality means outsourcing all of this other work so that all your, a CEO is all about, it's thought work and it's super thinking, and you don't want to be doing those menial tasks or side tasks. And I was struggling and I didn't know why. No idea why it was so hard that the more I advanced, and I kept hitting this brick wall. And I kept being coached by peers, by mentors, and it made a lot of sense of it must be a self-concept issue. There must be something in me that I'm not seeing myself elevated enough. I'm not appreciating just how powerful I am.
Yeah. And it's obviously you, because it's working for everybody else.
Yes. It's obviously me. I'm clearly the problem. Nobody else in the room is having this problem, but you are having this problem. So but let's figure out where your self-concept isn't quite working. By the way, foreshadowing, it wasn't my self-concept.
Surprise.
It wasn't my self-concept at all. Through the course, I want to be, and I want to be really clear. I started my coaching business in January of 2023, and it was March of I started it in 2013. And if we were talking a full 10 years later, at the age, right, a month before I turn 49, that I get the confirmation of this diagnosis and I really start understanding how ADHD does and doesn't work. And I realized I had been outsourcing all of my sources of dopamine. Again, this is not an ADHD podcast, but the really, really simple, like, brutal simplification here. ADHD experts, I understand how simplified this is. I am deficient in dopamine naturally as somebody with ADHD. So those little hits of accomplishment that I would get from all the side tasks and all the tasky things that I've been told I needed to outsource, that I outsourced for 3 straight years, I was literally depleting my own dopamine. I was depleting what brings me joy, what motivates me, it was literally like I was puncturing holes in my own fuel tank.
Mm-hmm.
For the sake of achieving more. And so as I was researching this, and I'm having this epiphany of like, no wonder I actually really enjoy doing a lot of and notice I'm even saying menial tasks. But to me, to my brain, my mind, they aren't menial. They're literally 30-second or 2-minute or 10-minute sources of dopamine to give me a sense of accomplishment and motivation that's going to allow me to then go do the thing that's the big task. It's kind of like the opposite of eat the frog. Eat the frog is the worst advice for me. So I came across this idea of a dopamine menu, and it's an ADHD concept. And as I dove more into it, I was like, all that's on my trigger, all that spark that is Amy from the time she was a little girl and play. And I basically just rebranded it as your playlist because I'm a music lover. Love music. Music is a big part of my life. So I created this idea of like a playlist, and it's literally, I took the concept of a dopamine menu of, little appetizers, little, what are appetizers, what are entrees, what are side dishes, what are desserts. And it's all about, your appetizers or your tiny little hits of play. And the whole idea is it's creating dopamine and enjoyment and motivation. And I just really found that this was a missing piece that really resonated with a lot of people of how can we incorporate more play, more joy on the front end instead of putting it off, instead of dangling it like a carrot.
Right. Making it something that will fit in when we have time or when we've earned it. We've done enough that now we can go play. It's interesting. I want to back up a little bit because you don't know this. So now I'm going to be a weird stalker, but I've been following you since probably, I would say at least 2017. So 6 years.
Oh, I definitely know that. Oh my goodness. I had no idea. Oh, that brings me such joy. Oh my goodness. You have seen some things then.
Yeah, I have. So it's interesting for me on the outside. Like this is the first time you and I have ever actually talked face to face in quotes. But for me, watching you from the outside go through this evolution of like, because we've been in similar coaching circles. We went to the same coaching school. We've been in the same programs. And I've seen you go through the phase of like, I'm going to call her cookie cutter Amy for lack of a better way to put her.
Go. You will not offend me. Throw it all out there because I'm going to be like, yep, I probably even have stronger words than what you will use. Yep.
Where it's like you were trying to be the person that you thought you needed to be in order to be accepted and taken seriously and successful. And in a lot of ways that worked for you. It did make you successful. It did bring you clients. It did bring you prestige and, at least the image of an expert. And all of that was great. But then there was this next phase of you, which was almost like a visible unraveling of all of that.
Yep.
To getting back to like what was underneath that all along.
Yes.
And so it's been interesting, a huge part of my business is about helping female entrepreneurs find their place in the world, helping them realize that they don't have to look like and act like and be like the quote unquote successful female entrepreneur in order to be successful. You can be introverted. You can be shy. You can be neurodivergent. You can be whatever you are and still find a way to make your business successful in a way that works for you, as opposed to continually trying to shove your square peg in the round hole.
Yep.
So to go back to that topic of play in relation to what I'm talking about, it seems like now you're at a space where you are allowing yourself more play and understanding that that's not a bad thing, that it's not something that you have to earn. So I'm curious how your business and your experience in your business has changed since you've allowed yourself more play.
Right off the bat, so much less stress. So much less daily stress. And that seems like a really oversimplified answer because stress can mean so many different things. I'm now just kind of operating around again, it's language we've heard all of the time, but I finally like enjoy the journey, not the, it's all about the day to day. And you're like, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yep. Pick it up. Totally understand. But we're all kind of secretly still putting off the enjoyment.
Mm-hmm.
We're actually not enjoying the journey at all. There's so much more awareness that this day I'm having today, and this doesn't mean that all my days are great. It doesn't mean that I don't have a lot of really bad days. This doesn't remove the humanity or the humanness out of the experience. As you know, just today, I shared with you before we started recording that there's something going on our, in our personal extended family right now that I'm kind of having to tell everybody, hey, I got to go do an interview. So I definitely would, it's not like I'm over here like, yay, joy, happy, joy all of the time. There's just this knowing and understanding now that this is a ride. This is a ride that we're all on, and I find it's easier to celebrate small things, big things, small moments that even have nothing to do with achievement. And it's not that there's not stress in my life or in my business, but just the experience of it all as an overarching thing is just less stressful. Mm-hmm. And I'm actually like making significantly less money. I'm not striving for that in the way that I was before. And I'm more inquisitive, and I'm more curious. I'm more willing to talk about being way more willing to try things and fail and have things not work out. Whereas before, like, I think we were convincing myself that I was willing to try and fail, but like I was secretly like mortified because achievement and work needs to be accomplished so that I can go and enjoy the fruits of that labor. Mm-hmm. And instead, there's more of an enjoyment. It's like, I'm just going to eat fruit and enjoy it right now. And I'm more relaxed. I'm more relaxed when I'm writing. I'm more relaxed when I'm creating. I'm more relaxed when I'm coaching. A sense of relaxation, a sense of less stress that has really made a huge difference in my overall. I'm happier. I don't know, like there's an overall happier sense than there was a few years ago when I was the cookie cutter image of what we're all striving for. I'm actually happier day to day.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting. I remember the first time a business coach asked me, I can't even remember what we were talking about, a launch strategy or whatever. And she asked me, what do you want to do? Yeah. And it seemed like such a simple, like now it seems like such a simple question. But at the time I was just like, what?
Yeah.
What? Like, that's not a thing.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my goodness. I remember I have a similar moment. I still remember, like, I don't know how to answer that question.
Yeah. What I want to do is the thing that this coach I just paid $10,000 to tell me what I should do says I should do. That's what I want to do. And, my first business, I was a dating coach for 6 or 7 years. And that was during the time that, I was following a lot of the same people that you were following and really trying to build my business the way that they said to build my business and do sales the way that they said, this is the way to do sales. Everything was like, this is the missing link. And last year, when I transitioned into my new business, was very much the beginning of what do you want to do? Like, what is actually fun for you in your business? Of course, what do people want? What do people need? What's actually working? Like, you still have to look at the numbers and the strategy and evaluate and do all the things. But once I started asking myself that question of like, what do you want to do? What is actually fun for you? That made a huge difference in every aspect, not just in my experience, but also in who I was attracting and the kind of clients that were now showing up for me, right? It's very different than what was happening for me before when I was trying to portray a certain image. And now I'm just like, here I am. I don't know what this hair sticking up is. I just spilled my drink everywhere and my cat keeps farting. Like that's just what's happening over here. Yep. And there are people who are drawn to that and there are people who are not drawn to that.
Absolutely.
But it feels so much better for me on a day-to-day basis. Do you have that experience too?
100%. I think that there is, my mind's going in three different directions as it is wont to do. So let me pull it back in for a second. Like the one thing that you just said there about the more, it is 100% true. The more you step into what you actually want to do and you start bringing in more enjoyment and you start bringing in more fun that is meaningful to you, there are people who are not going to resonate with that for a variety of reasons. You could go with the simplicity, like the more you do that, the more you start showing up as a version of yourself you haven't previously presented to others. Mm-hmm. So either, some people are like, well, I liked this version over here and I don't like this version. And it doesn't necessarily mean that they're wrong and you're right or anything. They just, that's just what they're not attracted to. You have that kind of group of people. You also have a group of people that's still very much believing that conditioning that's in our mind of, but this isn't supposed to be fun. Mm-hmm. That may not be a conscious thought. I want to be really, really clear. That's probably not a conscious thought. But seeing somebody being, and it's the difference between like a truly joyful and like the version that you're talking about, Melissa, that you saw of me years ago when I, was wearing more of those clothes and those shoes and, at the big events. And I wasn't not having a good time. I want to be really clear. I was enjoying all of that. And I was so excited to have been there. But there was just like an undercurrent of strife and anxiousness and anxiety under all of that. Mm-hmm. And I think we kind of like subconsciously expect that, right? Mm-hmm. Like anybody who's achieved that kind of success can't possibly really be happy. I mean, we see that in TV, like it's literally been the plot lines of TV episodes and TV shows, of like, that the successful person is actually secretly miserable, right? And so I think there's something a little unnerving when we actually really just kind of start having fun and truly stop caring what people think about us. And we show up with the hair out of place and the cat farting. And, for me, it's a senior overweight chihuahua with a heart condition who like barks at my feet. And all my clients know who Lou is. He always ends up on my lap at some point or another. And, she's not professional enough. I can't trust. And that can be true on some level, but I think there's also I have to be taken seriously. And when people show up not serious, it really scares me. And I can really appreciate that because that was me for so long. And I think that's kind of that invitation to be more playful there aren't any rules around it. Because I know y'all are going to try to put rules around it because I did too, because we are driven by following rules. And even me, who's been doing a free training on how to stop following rules since 2017, I just keep discovering more rules that I'm following, right? I still was trying to, approach my ADHD through a set of rules, and I had to, I started working with a coach who was like, hey, you're still following some rules over here. I was like, dang it. So I think it's like even incorporating more play doesn't even have to look the way I think it should look or you think it should look. It's literally just introducing the idea that maybe, what actually, I use the phrase, I've used it before, it's a little overused, lights your soul on fire. What actually brings you a sense of delight? I'm going to just invite, just pick one thing and just kind of bring a little bit more of that. If completely becoming a fully embracing playful person sounds like, well, it's challenging because I have a lot of clients who are like, I hear what you're saying. but also I'm never going to get anything done.
Mm-hmm.
If I'll only want to play, I'll never want to work. I don't really have time for that. I don't really have time to incorporate play. I really can't do the fun, playful thing on the front end because I got to do this and I got to do this. Not a big argument that I hear from my clients, or it's not so much argument, but concern is, non-productive tasks are a waste of time if I haven't already reached my goals.
Mm-hmm.
There's another common reason why that incorporating more play sounds like a great idea in concept, but it can be very difficult to do in practice. And I totally understand that line of reasoning because of just how we've all been. Our worth is measured by our productivity. Professionalism needs to look and be a certain way. And even in an industry like ours that is, all about being your own person, there's still, like you said, I was a cookie cutter coach. I was more uniquely Amy than I had ever been. And yet I still looked like everybody else around me. Mm-hmm. And by look, I don't necessarily mean physical look, but by presence,
mm-hmm.
It was still conforming, because conformity we learned that from a young age, that's safety. So I definitely understand.
Mm-hmm. that. So what advice do you have for people who are listening and they do have those concerns? Like, I don't know if I'll ever get anything done. I don't think I have time to play. What would the point of playing be when I could be making money?
Yep. Well, pull up a chair. So first of all, I got science backing me up on this one. And when I say backing me up, I'm not even the purveyor in this. There's, and I'm not, I'm going to use I'm going to drop another big name podcaster in. I don't listen to most of his stuff, but I did find his episode on this. A lot of people know who Andrew Huberman is. He did his podcast is like 2 to 3 hours long. So he did an entire podcast on the science behind incorporating play. Play is our natural state. It's actually, we're naturally wired to be a playful being. And it's, for the most part, it's been socialized out of us. So it is actually our more natural state to be in. All you got to do is thinking about when you're a little kid and everything is imaginary and everything is made up and everything is play. Even if you're not an outgoing extroverted person, I quietly played with Barbies in my room, or, toys or dolls. It's our natural state. But more importantly than that, play actually activates, a part of our brain that sparks creativity. So when I hear I don't have time for that, totally get it. I understand why. That's our instinct. But also, when you try to go into super thinking is a concept, I'm sure you're familiar with it. If your listeners aren't, is a concept we learned from our, my former mentor, around like time I'm going to spend thinking about the problems I need to solve for my business, and do that first. Well, that was so hard for me. And now I can understand why, because play actually opens up those doorways of creativity. It sparks our imagination. We get creative. Hey, guess what's in there, guys? Solutions to your business problems. The thing that you can't figure out how to solve because your funnel isn't quite converting. Well, I don't know. Is it possible? It's my favorite coaching tool, by the way. It's possible. It's possible that incorporating some play on the front end of your day might help relax the tension in your brain, the tension in your muscles, and stimulate some creativity, where that idea that's kind of trapped inside of you that you can't quite access becomes more easily available to find. Mm-hmm. And then you also have, and this I got right out of that episode by Andrew Huberman, about it actually makes your prefrontal cortex, which is your thinking brain, your problem-solving brain, it actually makes you smarter. You literally become a smarter person. So not only more creative to come up with out-of-the-box ideas, but also you are they have the science that backs up that play makes your prefrontal cortex smarter. You're literally becoming a smarter human being when you allow play in. So I need to go be productive so that I can go make the money. Okay. I mean, we can talk about that conversation over there. But more importantly to me is it's so, not only is it more fun, literally more enjoyable, but your brain will actually solve those problems that help you fine tune that funnel or come up with that creative name or any of those things that you're trying to solve in your business so that you can go make the money that you're wanting to make.
Yeah. That's exactly why you hear so many people say, I have my best ideas in the shower, or I have my best ideas when I'm out on a walk. Yes. I don't know that I've ever heard someone say, I have my best ideas when I'm sitting in my chair in my office, forcing myself to have good ideas.
Yeah. I mean, my clients, I've said it, if I said it once, I've said it 1,000 times. I'm like, I get 95% of my ideas come naked in the shower. Like I am like literally like soapy head, fingers in my hair. I don't know what it is about that position, but I'm like, oh, I know what I'm going to do.
You've got some magic button up there.
Yeah, there's some magic button. I'm literally stimulating my brain as I'm shampooing my hair. On the going for walks and, play can be, it doesn't have to be, it could be dancing, stretching. It could be coloring books, puzzles, just playing music, dancing, stretching, taking a few breaths, whatever kind of seems playful for you. Those are like quick snippety things, like small snippets of play that you can kind of build into your day really, really easily. That requires next to no planning, next to no thought. When you get up in the morning, just turn on your favorite song and start, dancing around as you're putting your makeup on. And instead of, what you might do is like planning time on the front end of that planning time, maybe put something, it's really easy to put something in there that kind of stimulates just kind of a bit of joyfulness and playfulness, and you can build in longer activities that maybe require a little bit more planning. Maybe instead of that meeting with your bestie on the back end of your day, I don't know, maybe meet for breakfast instead of for dinner a couple times and just kind of see how that feels. You kind of have to find the things that work best for you. My brain's going two ways. Let me pull it back real quick. There's also things that you can just do to like build in on the front end or like not just on the front end or throughout, but kind of, listen to music as you are working. If you're not writing, sometimes I'll have a comedian on playing when I'm doing kind of more rote mundane stuff, just because comedians make me laugh. And it can actually be that simple. I keep fun pieces, colors, signs, gadgets. I now have a desk full of ADHD fidget toys because that is helpful to me. That are kind of accompanying my work, that I can do things I can do while I'm working that just make the work time more available. But the other idea around play and it's stimulating ideas and creativity is that when you kind of touch on it already, when you're forcing it, it's so much harder. And I think a lot of times the reason that play can be in this comment's going to go in two directions. I think that one reason is that we've been socialized to believe that our value is in our productivity. So, playfulness feels like a delay to that place. Mm-hmm. And so first it's understanding that I do understand that socialized belief that your value is in what you produce. Your value is in hitting the revenue number. The value is in signing X number of clients by X date. Not only has that been reinforced through our youth and through our culture, it's been reinforced in our industry. So I do understand that. And this is an invitation to find small ways to incorporate a little bit and just test it out. I also have a giant caveat on this entire conversation, which is, I think the first step is incorporating play to see how it can make you more creative, more smarter, and more productive. But if you're ready for play 2.0, play for play's sake. Play for not being productive. It's kind of like hey, if you get 8 hours of sleep, you will actually, work harder at work. Okay. Or maybe just get 8 hours of sleep because you're a human being, So I really want to put a big caveat on this conversation that for some of us, it's easier to start with, okay, I'm going to incorporate play because Amy says it's going to make me smarter and that's going to make me more money. If that's where we need to start, I'm totally cool with that. Totally. Yeah. Right? Totally cool with that. But I just want to plant a seed of play for play's sake, rest for rest's sake, sleep for sleep, and all of that. Not because it's going to make you more productive, but because you're a human being who was designed for it. Mm-hmm. And why are we doing any of this if we're not going to actually enjoy it? I just really, that's where I always land. And I want to be really clear. It's not that all of that old doesn't pump back up and I won't notice myself. And I'm not catching it on the front end all the time. Oh, no. I might be a couple of days or a couple of weeks in of going, oh, I see what I'm doing. Yeah. I'm trying to produce my way to some form of acceptance again. Of course I am, because I've done it my whole life. I'm not unwinding 49 years of living one way in a couple of months. Mm-hmm. And so I do have a note in my office that's a sign that just kind of like, don't forget play for play's sake. It just kind of reminds me of like, sometimes you can just go play. Sometimes you can just go have fun, and it doesn't have to be earned, and it doesn't have to be used to be more productive, and it doesn't have to be validated, and it doesn't have to be reasoned away. You don't have to explain it to anyone. And I know that can feel really, really scary, but I just really think it's important to plant that seed of like, guys, why are we here on this earth?
Right. Yeah.
I'm going to tell you this, it's not to walk across the stage to get a revenue award. That is fleeting. Does it feel amazing in the moment? I would be a liar if I told you that it wasn't. But it's fleeting. It lasts for a couple of hours to a couple of days. And then you're back to your mind has reset what's now acceptable to a higher level. And you will always be chasing the higher and the higher and the higher.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say is I think a lot of people feel like I will have the fun when I get to this point. Yeah. And then you get to that point. Yeah. And then your brain says, that's not enough. You need to get to the next point. When I get to the next point, then I will have fun. That's not enough. Then there's a new point. I just saw the other day, there's a coach who part of her offering now is you get to see these behind the scenes videos that are really just like her staying in fancy hotels and living her best life with all her millions of dollars. And I just felt so sad that people will spend 30 minutes watching her in her fancy hotel when they could be out for 30 minutes having fun in their own lives.
Yes. I want to add, I do think it's really, really important. I want to be really clear. I have a lot going for me in my column in that I am not a religious person, but I'm Christian passing, which is a really weird thing to say, but I celebrate Christmas. So people don't realize that, I'm a Western woman. I am I'm a European mutt. So I'm white. I am the first person in my family who went to college and graduated right out of high school, but I was able to do that. I I don't have a lot of things that have been standing in my way. I have a lot going for me in my column. So I really do understand that. And it's why I knock no one and I judge no one for really striving for those things and we are wired for external validation. I totally get it. And I know that while I had to overcome a lot of mental things and I had to overcome what I did not realize was neurodivergency, a lot of things were not obstacles in my way. And so this is not here to squash anyone's dreams, any way, shape, or form. If world domination and luxury planes are your plan, go for it. Do it. I'm cheering you on. I'm just inviting you to, incorporate. It sounds, I'm turning into a cheesy plaque at the Target clearance, Target end cap right now. Like, incorporate as much little bits of joy, even if where you are right now, because I know that it can sound like, I literally am struggling to, get anything off the ground, and I keep hitting obstacles over and over again. And you want me to find joy and playfulness right now?
Right.
Easy for you to say it's not better when you're accepting that award on stage. I totally get it. I really, really do. I would be can I cuss on this show? Okay. I would be a giant asshole if I were like, don't strive for that. Don't shoot for that. No, totally see it. I think your point, which is so important, is instead of watching somebody else's behind the scenes, where can you incorporate just a smidgen of that feeling in your life now? It's not going to be on the luxury. Yeah, it's not going to be the luxury hotels. It's not going to be the private planes. And I totally okay, that's what you're seeking. Absolutely. Go for it. But you don't have to wait for the sensation and the feeling of that. And where can you incorporate some of that? Where can you incorporate? Is it I just had kind of a silly idea, but it's like, is it buying a slightly softer blanket at the store of the cozy up in, what low cost, no cost ways can you bring that enjoyment in? It doesn't have to just be stuff that's expensive or costs any money. How can you incorporate small pieces of luxury or just really enjoyment for yourself? There's so much available to us. And I know that there's this part of us that says, but it's not enough because it's not this vision. And I know that I wouldn't have believed it myself if I hadn't really realized that bar was continuously being reset with every achievement that I got.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that sometimes has to be a lesson that we have to really see. And I never want to squash anyone's dreams and desires. And also, let's just enjoy the ride. Can we do that?
We're back on the Target end cap now.
Yeah. We are. Oh, I hate it when cheesy Target end cap phrases come out of my mind. But unfortunately, sometimes those inspirational signs have a little bit of truth to it. It really is it really is something when you can take just a snippet of that strife and anxiety off your plate and in lieu of and in place of some. I'm actually saying that a little bit backwards, but adding just a smidge more joy and enjoyment of this moment right here. What's good? What's fun? If playfulness is turning on music that makes you smile, let's start there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so good. I had no idea that talking about play was going to be so nuanced and have so many layers and complexities. I realize that we have really only touched the surface on many of these things. So if people want to connect with you further, if they want to hear more about what you have to say about play and just about life and business in general, what's the best way for them to do that?
Yeah. So, right now, my 2024, so we're recording this in 2023. So I'm not, my 2024 is going to see some changes, and I'm still deciding on what those are. But I know for sure you can go to amylatta.com. And me and Facebook are not on good terms right now.
No.
So, no, not at all. So I'm going to direct everybody Instagram and fingers crossed that won't be hacked. My Facebook got hacked, and I'm still not getting it back 2.5 months in. But Instagram, I am at instagram.com/I am Amy Latta. I would have told you to find me on Facebook there, but that's not me anymore. That's a hacker now.
Okay, well, we will put the correct links for the website and for the Instagram in the show notes so everyone can connect with you. Yeah. And thank you so much for coming on the podcast, Amy. This has been awesome.
You are absolutely welcome. And can I make like a really quick offer to your listeners?
Totally.
So that playlist idea, that dopamine menu, if you reach out to me, I think the simplest way without me having to like set up a whole thing, if you want to connect with me on Instagram and hit me up in my DMs, I will happily send you that. I have a how to create your own playlist. I'd be more than happy to send anybody who asks for it. So just say, hey, I heard you on Melissa's show, and I will happily. So connect with me on Instagram. I am Amy Latta. I will send it to you.
And I love how you just were like, let me not make this a big, complicated funnel. Just send me a message and I'll send it to you.
I literally was about to go, like my brain literally went to, I'm going to have to set up a thing. I'm going to have to set up a sequence. No, we're not doing that anymore. It's too much work.
No, it would be a lot more fun. Just have people DM you.
Just send me a DM.
Setting up a funnel is not fun.
Yeah. Just send me a DM. And here's the thing. Okay. I'm even going to say this. This is something that I'm changing in next year too. You won't have to sign up for my email. You don't have to give me your email address in order to get it. You get I want to have fun. I want this to be an enjoy. If you just want it, amazing. And then if you like what you see and you want more, let me know. But yeah, no strings attached.
I love it.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
No. Amy does not do the salesy weirdo stuff. She's not here for it. All right. Thank you again, and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you so much, Melissa.
Thanks so much for listening to another episode of the Your Relationship With podcast. I'm going to do something fun because sometimes I think about just saying really weird shit in these outros because I don't know if anyone actually listens to them. I don't know that I ever listen to an outro on a podcast. I'm just like, it's over. Bye. So I'm going to do a giveaway right now. I'm going to give away a dot card. Do you guys know what a dot card is? They're super cool. I use it all the time with networking. It's got a QR code on it. So instead of handing someone your business card, they just swipe the QR code and it uploads whatever you want uploaded onto their phone into your contact. So you set it up basically like you would a Linktree, and then they just scan it, and then all their information is on your phone. It's super, super cool. So I'm going to give one of those away. If you listen to this podcast episode and you got all the way to this outro, send me a DM on Instagram and tell me that you actually heard this, and I will enter you in a drawing for a free dot card because I really want to know who's listening. All right. If you loved this interview, couple things that you can do. Number 1, subscribe to the podcast. Number 2, leave a review. Number 3, connect with Amy and listen to her podcast, the Confident Coaches podcast. Even if you're not a coach, there's a lot of wisdom on that podcast that is really, really helpful in business. I'm also going to drop some links in the show notes for you to connect with Amy on Instagram and check her out on LinkedIn and on her website. I'm not going to drop her Facebook link because, as you'll hear in this interview, she has a little love-hate thing going on with the book of faces. So we're not doing that today. But all of her information will be in there, as will the link to follow me on Instagram and to shoot me a message and tell me that you actually heard this, and I'll enter you in the drawing, and the link to check out the Powerful Women Rising community. Have a great rest of your week, and I will see you next Monday.